I'm a naturally shy person. I'm like a extrovert introvert.
I see a lot of Black aesthetics so scared to hire.
It was just something that I really struggled with. I don't like hearing my voice. Like we don't like hearing our voice.
Hey, how you doing today? I want to welcome you to the Content Aesthetic Show, where we take different aesthetic professionals, different med spa owners, and allow them to share their stories so they can inspire you to keep on thriving and make a difference in your community. And on today's episode, we have Imani Brooks. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Imani, before we get started, I want to know, what is it that you do to make a difference in your community with your business?
Well, I'm a licensed therapist, and making a difference in the community is one of my biggest things. It's really the reason that I even opened my offices. So what I do is just give back. I really help to see clients where they are and not just help them on the outside, but help them on the inside as well.
When you say help them on the inside as well, break that down.
Yeah. So again, I'm a therapist, so I believe that clients need to come in and feel beautiful. And being beautiful is not just the outside. A lot of times we think that's the outside, but really inspiring you overall to know your worth, right? We build that a lot into our clients when they come in and work with them to have a full approach of that, of feeling beautiful on the inside and fixing those internal things as they're doing the things on the outside as well.
I love that. What made you choose this as your mission?
Well, me and my partner, who's in the medical side of things, we were really looking to something to join forces and really change what aesthetics looks like and change what the med spa world look like. I've been to different med spas, and I know it's kind of an exchange. You go in, you walk in, it's not personal. And just seeing some of the things that I wanted to experience, that was what made me decide to get into this business and really do something different. I wanted a personal touch. I wanted to know not just what I needed to do, to check off the boxes, but really to feel better as a person.
That's big. So as a child, did you always say, hey, I want to do therapy, I want to do this, I want to,
I thought I was going to be a lawyer when I was younger.
Yes.
And then I went to my first law class, and I was like, ooh, this is not for me. And then I did psychology, and I was like, I talk a lot.
Yes.
I could use that to help people. And it fit. It just worked for me.
Do you come from a family of like entrepreneurs, or are you first time? Break that down.
In some ways, my parents are both lawyers.
Yeah.
My brothers and sisters are all like very business oriented.
Yeah.
So they work in, a corporate space, but they also do it in a very entrepreneurial way, making contracts and things like that. So not just one job going, clock in and out, but more of an entrepreneurial sideways of that.
So if your parents are lawyers and you're supposed to go be a lawyer, and then you switched it out, like, what was that conversation like at the dinner table?
Well, I mean, they were very understanding. They were with it because they're like, yeah, you do. You like to help people. Yeah. You have that spirit. So it's the same of helping people, but in a different way.
Were you nervous to tell them?
No.
You just like, hey, I want to switch it out a little bit.
I was nervous because my parents are also professors. So they were professors at the school I was in. So I was in their program. So I was kind of like, oh. We're sidestepping, but they were completely understanding about it.
I love that. And before you and your partner collaborated, what were you doing? Were you working under a different corporation? Did you already have your side together? Like, how was that?
I've been an entrepreneur for about 6 years. So in the mental health space, I'm a director of a couple of different facilities with major mental illness and substance abuse. So that's something that I've done. And I still do a lot of that, just going and helping build up programs and helping in that space.
Oh, that got to be like extremely heavy on you sometimes. How do you cope with that?
I take care of myself a lot. I believe in a heavy balance of play and work, right? Yeah. So I vacation. But, I'm used to that space. So, my daughter actually told me the other day, she was like, you're a true therapist. She was like, you know how to turn on emotions when you need to and deal with things. And you know how to, go in that space and take care of yourself when you need to as well. So I think it's just being in tune, self-aware, and knowing what's coming up for you and getting in front of it, not waiting until it takes over.
I love that. When it comes to the practice, so when the clients come in, how's that process like? Your partner does the aesthetics part, then you make sure they're good. Like how does that work? Break that down.
Yeah, so, from the moment that they message us, either if it's on, on a social media platform or they come through the website or the phone, I'm the first point of contact. So I'm the person that they're talking to.
So you do the sales too, huh? Let me find out.
Yes, I'm the receptionist. I'm the salesperson. I'm the janitor.
Yeah.
That's the life of an entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
I do that. Most times when a client comes in, they already know my name, so they're looking like, "Where's Imani?"
Yeah.
I actually have an esthetician named Imani too, so they tend to get us confused. But yeah, so it's just inviting. We do a lot of patient education because I believe that helps the client feel comfortable. We get a lot of clients who've never had anything done before,
Yeah.
so their first question when they get on the phone is like, "Oh, I think I need filler, or I think I need this," and they don't even really know what it is. They Googled it, right?
Yeah.
So
Dr. Google.
yeah. So we really try to do a lot of patient education. So they're educated before they come in the door. And then when they come in, they're knowing people that they're looking for. I want to speak to Imani. I want to speak to Lonray. That's one of our injectors. So they have that connection already. When they first come in, they're either going to see me or the injectors there, introducing them, getting them acclimated. We do a tour so they can kind of see what's going on before you just go in there and say, "Okay, here, get your procedure," and be out in 15 minutes, We really want them to feel comfortable.
I love that. And you guys came forces, what, about a year ago?
Yeah, it was about a year and a half ago. In February will be our 2 years.
Okay. How was that for you? Like, I really want to know how that conversation was sparked. Only reason why is because a lot of times we be scared to partner with each other. And so I want to know.
Well, we had talked about it a lot. Being in the medical field, we were like, should we open a private practice? Should we do more of a clinic?
Yeah.
And it was really like, what are people looking for nowadays? And we were like, let's get into the aesthetics. It's something that's out there. It is something that people don't do right all the time. My partner works in the ICU, so he sees the worst of the worst. So he sees people who come in who didn't have a good experience. So we really were like, let's do it right and let's really help people. I work in, again, the mental health field, and a lot of my clients, when they're trying to feel better on the inside, they'll do a bunch of outside stuff.
Yeah.
So they'll get tattoos, they'll go dye their hair, they'll go get fillers, they'll go do all this stuff, and they still come in broken. So we really felt like we could make an impact. And that's something that we promote with all of our clients. If you're coming in for filler, we're still telling you about our health coaching. We're still telling you about all of that. So we just felt like it was a good space to do something different.
I love that. And when y'all got started with the build out, like how hard was it or easy for you guys to actually find the location, build out the location? Like, what was that process like?
So we're located in Chamblee. I used to live in Chamblee. I loved it. So I already knew I was going there. I was like, we're going to Chamblee. It's a good location. It's not congested. So it's easy for our clients to get to. And it's commutable. It's right there, local to everything, right off the highway. So I already knew that's where I was going. Finding the space for the vision was hard because I was like, we needed something that we could grow into that would really reflect all of the things that we do. We found this cute place. It was actually perfect. When I walked in there, I was like, this is it. Yeah. And it felt right. So once we did that, it was just building it out. I'm a big brain, so I like to think that everything's gonna be easy. And I was like, okay, this was a little bit.
Yeah.
There's some work that had to go into this, but we worked well together. I have a good support system. I have a good team. So just we have people of all walks of life that do a lot of things that really help bring it together. So what I didn't know, they knew, and we worked together.
Yeah. I love that. And the reason why is because a lot of times when people get started in aesthetics, sometimes they start in a house or they start at a suite and then they get kind of a little intimidated when they see a fellow person got a build out, got a full location. And sometimes I'm like, hey, just be patient and build up the clientele. Don't just go and grab that overhead when you probably can't maintain that overhead. With the build out, did y'all go over budget?
Definitely at first. Again, I have a big brain, so I was like, "Oh, we're gonna use this room for this and do this and do this and do that." So I definitely, was a little ambitious.
Yeah.
But I knew that we had a passion for it, so it was something that we calculated that we wanted to
Yeah.
bring in. I mean, with every business, it took time to make profit and to
Yeah.
really grow into it. We looked at like a sweet space,
Yeah.
and it just with the different skills that I had, my partner
Yeah.
had, it wasn't the workable space for
That
us,
makes sense.
so we really needed something that we could build into. We do have therapists that work out of there
Yeah.
as well, so like we needed an office for that. We have an IV hydration
Yeah.
room, so we had all the different aspects, so it just made more sense for us to go for the build out. But everyone's journey is different, so we definitely considered a suite.
I love it. So how many employees do y'all have right now?
We have 4.
Okay. How was that process? Like finding employees, trusting. How was that like?
It was difficult when it came to really like vetting a person, but honestly our staff, they kind of fell into our lap. It worked. One of our estheticians I knew from a different space,
Yeah.
and when I started posting that I was having, they're like, "Hey, like I'm an esthetician, I'm about to graduate. Like, do you have space for me?" And we hadn't really thought of that at first, and I was like, "You know what? Like, let's go for it." We have a massage therapist who, again, it was sort of similar, like saw the space we were in and was like, "Hey, I think I have something to offer." So all of
Mm.
our staff, it's a passion project for them too. I don't
Yeah.
have anyone that came in as like, I just want to be an employee and clock in and clock out.
Yeah.
They're there, they're help building it. They've been there since the beginning, and really just putting in the same sweat and tears that we put in.
I love that. And because I see a lot of black aesthetics so scared to hire, don't want to cut into the profits, but wants to quote unquote hit the big numbers. But it's like it takes a team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm real big whenever we have a guest, I want to know that process, like to tell them, like, what did you have to sacrifice to bring in new people? Like, did you not pay yourself for a certain amount of time? Did you say, hey, let me go and borrow some resources over here so I can pay these employees so we can scale quicker?
Definitely. As an owner, me and my partner are both co-owners. We definitely pay ourselves last.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love a lot of times more than
I know about it.
profit. But we believe if your
Yeah.
team supports you and they're getting supported, then
Yeah.
in the end it's going to pay off. So I think that the vision is bigger sometimes than in the moment. I said as a business owner, I've been helping build businesses for over 12 years, so I know like you got to have one foot in, one foot out mindset of like, I know what the present holds, but I know what the future can hold as well. And so that's something that we kind of make all of our decisions around, like, okay, you got to make money sometime. You got to spend money to make
Yeah.
money. So that is something that we definitely believe in, investing in ourselves in order to see the bigger outcome.
Is that a seed you always had planted in you, was to invest in yourself?
Definitely. Again, I work in a business space before I came into this, so I saw myself putting a lot of seeds into other people. And so I was like, hold up, I could be putting this energy into myself.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to do that. It was something that I've seen help a lot of people
Yes.
that they profited from. So it's something that I've always been like in some way doing it for myself. But I was like, I'm going to take a leap of faith and do it to a bigger scale this time.
That's big. That's big because a lot of times we don't think like that. We be like, well, this big picture got to happen tomorrow, right? Oh, every investment, the ROI got to come back tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, it's like in real estate, you don't get no instant ROI.
Mm-hmm.
And in stocks, you don't get an instant ROI. And like no investment. So why would you think that you're starting a business from scratch, the money supposed to just come pouring in?
Mm-hmm.
If that was the case, every turn you see, it's a business. They'd be buku with money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that. You got to really put the time in. And it was the story of Jeff Bezos, right? Jeff Bezos, and they're probably about 30 years now. He wrote a letter to all of his investors, and he said, for the next 20 years, we're going to be taking a loss, but I need you to stick with me, right? And literally 20 years later, Amazon is what? One of the biggest of the biggest of the biggest. But he knew that it was going to take time. And so for the aesthetic professionals, it's like, hey, how much time are you really willing to invest in maybe not seeing no return?
Mm-hmm.
It's not instant,
Mm-hmm.
and on average, the aesthetic practice do about 1.3 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
The black aesthetics don't do it. They end up doing about 150,000 a year. And one of the biggest reasons is, of course, visibility, but then also mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like they're not willing to play the long game,
Mm-hmm.
And so when I heard you say that, I'm like, That's dope. But it took you time to plant that. Like you said, man, 12 years I've been planting other people's seeds. Why not plant my own?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why they don't think like that all the time. Some people do. But it's like they've been bedside. They worked at bedside for a decade plus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last year or 2 years, now they're their own entrepreneur. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, give yourself that same time, that same grace. I think, which is really, really big. For you, I've seen the content and I've seen that, you be in the content, right? How has content affected y'all business?
It's definitely something that people look for. Like you can see before and after is a lot, but like feeling like the business. And that's why I say like most of our people that come in, they know our names, because feeling connected to a business outside of just information is big. So I've had to get out of my comfort zone. I'm not always the most comfortable person in front of a camera. But I was like, you know what? Let me get out there. Let me put it out there. And that's what people come in. They're like, oh, I saw you on this, or I saw this. And it lets you know like that's a big thing. That's what people are looking for. They want to know what they're getting into before they walk into those doors. So like seeing what your space is and like, oh, I did see that from the video, or like, oh, I remember you from this. Helped me get out in front of the camera a lot more. My partner, I'm still working on him. He does not love the camera. But it's important. It really is. And that's what I've seen more and more. And the more people I talk to in the industry, the more people that I talk to in this space are like, you got to put yourself out there. You got to increase that part of things.
Yeah, the biggest reason why is because majority of aesthetics is anybody can, like, it's so tangible. It's an aesthetic practice on every corner, right? And so what makes you unique? What makes you stand out? Not, Botox or not semaglutide, mesotherapy, none of that, right? What makes you different is who you are, the character you are, the upbringing, your greatness. What you show to the people allow them to be like, oh, I trust her. Oh, I trust him. Oh, I want to work with him because he is just like me. And when you don't show up in front of the camera, you lose that connection. Now you're just selling a product that anybody else has. But what happens is that person that shows up on social media in your area, and then they coming up, oh, I don't care what product you selling, them people going to that person, and that's a big thing. What made you say, I used to not like the camera? What is it about yourself that you was probably running away from?
I'm a naturally shy person. I'm like a extrovert introvert. Yeah. So it was just something that I really struggled with. I don't like hearing my voice, we don't like hearing our voice. But it was just a scary thing at first, but I've gotten more comfortable with it. In my other businesses, I'm also like the face. I'm always the person I throw in front of the camera. So I was like, okay, you know what? I do it for them. I got to do it for myself too. So I just have pushed myself out of that comfort zone to say, let me just dive out there.
What made you say, oh, I didn't like my voice?
Just hearing it back was something, just listening to it. But again, it's imposter syndrome, not feeling like you are gonna, have the best presentation or say the right thing and, ooh, how did I sound? Are people gonna judge that? So it's a lot of just, trying to be in everyone else's head and think about what they're thinking versus just staying present in the moment.
And you know about that all day because that's your world, right?
Definitely.
So how did that affect you knowing that professionally this is what you help people fix and then you dealt with it at a time?
It's something that, it made me feel vulnerable at first, but I was like, you know what, I'm only human.
Yes. I say that to myself all the time. I'm only human.
I'm only human. And I was like, look, if I'm expecting other people to do it, I have to expect it out of myself as well. Yeah. So I knew the tools. Sometimes we have all the tools, but we don't use them. Yeah. So I knew the tools. And so it was just like, I need to just put myself out there and do what I tell other people to do and practice that piece myself.
Do you remember that first moment where you just jumped in front of the camera and went?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
It was in this space, in the med spa space, I was recognizing that we just didn't have, we had a lot of good before and afters. We had the information out there. I was like, but the people that I'm seeing on my page have the content. So I was like, I just need to do it. And so in order to get past that that moment of imposter, I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to watch it 1,000 times before I go to the next scene. I'm not going to, I'm just going to get out there and do it. And after I took that step back, I was like, oh, I showed up. It wasn't that hard. And I was like, when I put myself out there, I can be what I think that I am, underneath. And that was really that moment for me.
That's big. I call it the Dr. Strange effect, right? Where what we do is we attempt to think out all these different scenarios of what can happen when we put this content out, who's going to talk, what they're going to say. And we attempt to look for comfortability. But all of the things that we're thinking are all negative. It's not positive. So, they're going to talk about my voice. They're going to talk about how I look. They're going to talk about this. And then when the content do come out, they don't say nothing. Nobody judging you. And if they do judge on social media, they have a fake page with no post, no nothing, no business. But we sat there and doubted ourselves in our mind, procrastinated, and we did not do our mission fully because we was too busy scared of how people gonna judge us along the journey. And I look at that, I be like, man, that's crazy. And it's like we have a purpose to really make a difference. There's so many people out there that has mental health. I had a lady on the podcast the other day. She's an aesthetic professional, and she said when she was pregnant, she was about to take her life and her unborn child's life. And she had to get committed to the psych ward. But it was because of burnout. And it's like her baby down 6 and she's doing way better mentally, all of that. But by her sharing her story, she's able to impact others about, the importance of not burning out, the importance of self-care, the importance of this. But there's so many people out here that need your help. But if you don't show up, you can't help. And so it's like, I don't care about how you look, how you sound, what the person gonna say that. It don't matter. It's about the people that need you and your message receiving to them. That's how I look at content.
Definitely.
And that's why I like, hey, I want to create a world to help aesthetic professionals, more minority aesthetic professionals, because I believe that we lack the business principles. We lack the resources. We lack the relationships. We lack the mindset that we need to actually really go out and do more impact in the community. And so us at the King of Content, we made it our mission to use content as the vehicle to help y'all get more visibility, get y'all message more heard, and just show up more consistently, And so I be like, hearing y'all stories, I be like, oh, that's so dope. Oh my gosh, right? And I was like, that's a servant leader. When you can put other people problems and figure out a solution to help them with it. That's a servant leader. And so for you say you detach by going on vacations, you detach by just, more self-awareness with self. What are some of the things that another aesthetic practice or professional can do to not have to worry about getting all involved 100% mentally and draining themselves?
Rely on your team. And if you don't have a team, find support systems. I know this industry can be a little closed off sometimes, and it can be hard to find an ally, but there's people out there. So find a team, delegate, don't try to take it on, build up a community. Trying to do everything by yourself is hard. I've done it. I've tried. I still try sometimes. But I recognize that, finding someone who's in the same space who can just relieve some of those feelings and be in that space with you sometimes. But like right now, we're sad. Let's be sad. Let's feel this emotion and let's move on. Don't try to hold on too much and just try to do everything. That's the hard part. As entrepreneurs, we feel like if I don't do this right now, I'm going to fail. But a failure doesn't mean a stop. right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's a pivot and it's a turn. So recognizing that if you can't do it, you can't do it. Sometimes we try to control things that we can't control. And
100%.
that's the hardest part is trying to control things we can't control. I can't control if this client canceled on me today. I can't control if this client didn't like their results right now. What can I control? I can control how I feel connected in that moment and what it is that I do to take care of myself in that. But once it's out of my control, I can't control it. And so it's like letting that go is the hard part, but that's an important part.
That's 100%. Imani, if you can put a spotlight on one of your superpowers, what would it be and why?
My ability to connect with others. I believe connectedness is the basis of really any relationship, whether it's, social, family, friends, intimate, like connection is important. And it helps a lot of people. The things that you can do when you feel connected and the things that you can do when you connect with others is limitless. In everything, businesses are formed and they prosper because connectedness, a business connection. So I think that's my superpower.
I love it. That was really good. Imani, I want to thank you for even showing up today. You didn't have to. You could have called Al, you could have made excuses, you could have did any of that, but you did not do that. So I want to thank you for being on the Content Aesthetic Show. I want to thank you for actually showing up, for making sure mentally everybody's good, because sometimes they do just look at the outside and not the inside. So you are very, very needed in this world, especially in our community, because they run away from therapy. They
Mm.
run away from, um, they run to the trauma, right? And so I just want to thank your partner as well for y'all coming together and y'all making a difference in the community. All right. Um, thank
Thank you
you.
for having us. Thank you for giving us this space. We don't get this space all the time. So I definitely appreciate that. And what you do, is very impactful. So I've seen you even before I clicked that button. I saw you a lot. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, you know what? I want to be a part of that.
Yes.
So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Content Aesthetic Show. And I want you to realize that it is okay to take your time. Hold yourself, give yourself grace, allow yourself time to build, because anything that's worth building and worth staying around long term don't happen instant. So whenever you build a house, it takes time to build that dream house. So understand right now you're building that empire. So allow yourself time to build. And like Imani said, a failure is not a failure if you don't give up, in a sense. So just keep going and keep thriving, and understand that it is people out there that need your help. But the only way they can get your help is if they hear your voice. So show up in your content, thrive and serve unlike anybody else in your market. I'm Dontel Antonio, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Content Aesthetic Show.